All right, now one of the things I always ask of somebody if they're going to ask me a question is to give me as much information as possible, because the more you give me, the more I can give you. Now, one individual has done just that in regards to calf training. Now, I can't pronounce their screen name, but I wrote it up in the corner there. I'll also write it in the title of this video so the individual will know I have addressed their question. Now, it's a multi-part question, so I'll answer each part in the order in which it was asked. The first part being the individual wants to add mass to the calves. Now, the formula for that is very simple. You got to recruit them and fatigue them. Now, I'll give you a couple of practical examples of how you can choose to do that. You could do it all in one shot as a standalone, or you can start and finish each workout with calf training. At the beginning, aiming to recruit. At the end, aiming to fatigue. Another thing you could do is train the calves on consecutive days. The benefit to that, if there was one, aiming to recruit on the first day and fatigue on the second, is that you extend the duration in which protein synthesis is maximized, and you give the calves an opportunity to get sore. It takes time for them to get sore. Not saying they will get sore, but if they did, you'll be able to feel them more. That will increase your capacity to recruit them, therefore making the work you do on the second day more effective than it otherwise would have been. Now, another thing this individual said is that the lateral head of their gastroc lacks in development in relation to the medial head, and they have high insertion points. Now, there's not much you could do about your genetics, but if the reason the lateral head lacks in development is because your capacity recruited is less, one thing I'll give you is a little muscle activation technique that you can do on yourself. What you're going to do is you're going to look at the orientation of the muscle. Let's say it runs north and south. Trace that muscle up to the northern tendon and try to saw off the tendon with your thumb going from east to west. Do that for about 4 or 5 seconds, not applying too much pressure, just a little bit. Then do the same thing on the southern side of that muscle, at the southern tendon, if you know what I'm talking about there, if you can actually conceptualize that. Then go back and do a set for whatever exercise you're doing and tell me you didn't just immediately increase your capacity to recruit that muscle. That should help if that's the reason why the lateral head lacks in development. Finally, the individual shared with me the current strategy that they're relying on. They're training the calves 3 times per week, 1 exercise each time, 4 sets of 20 to 25 reps. That's roughly 300 light reps per week, and they said the calves still don't get pumped. When I think about why you might not be getting the return on investment that you're looking for, I think about the fact that the average person takes maybe 5,000 steps per day. Now, yes, the calves are not doing much when you're walking, but when you multiply that by 7 days, that's 35,000 steps per week. You are only adding on to that 35,000 an extra 300. You're not imposing enough of a demand. So what are some things that you could do? Number 1, lift some heavier fucking weight. Number 2, you want to get pumped, limit rest. And number 3, keep the muscles under constant tension. So one thing that takes those 3 things into consideration will be a rest pause set. Pick a weight maybe you could lift 5 times. That would indicate that it's relatively heavy. On the 5th rep, hold the peak contraction for 10 seconds. After you do that, hold the lengthened position for 10 seconds. Then put the weight down. Keep the calves engaged. Flex them for 10 seconds. Then repeat that sequence exactly that same way 5 times. That'll be 25 total reps of greater quality than the reps that you're doing now. And you repeat that 5 times, that's 125 reps. You can repeat that as many times per week as you want to until you overwork your capacity to recover or your body gets desensitized to that. Now, that's not a magical strategy. That's just one that takes into consideration all the principles I just discussed. You can choose to adhere to them however which way you want to, but those are the principles that would guide and influence the decisions I would make if I was facing the same problem as you. Now, one other thing you said was that you don't want to lose the mobility to squat through a full range of motion. I would argue that if you continue to squat through a full range of motion, you got absolutely nothing to fucking worry about. So hopefully that helps. If you like the information, share it. Click the fucking button at the bottom of the screen you're looking at. Subscribe to the channel. Support me. I'm going to keep on bringing it.